You never know what people going through until you actually are in the same situation that they are in. So this is officially story time. I got some tea to spill that I feel like, not sure if anybody want to hear it, but you never know what people going through until you actually are in the same situation that they are in. So I live in Florida and I live in apartment buildings. And as you know, apartment buildings, as they say, which is true, is full of drama. So the area that I stay in, I live around Jewish people and Spanish people. It's a mixture. It's barely black people in here. It's kind of like a handful of people that you would see that's black. The apartments that I live in, I used to live in a different building from then. And I actually seen this lady. They used to always come to knock on my door to ask for my husband. And she did not know at the time that he was in a relationship. She just thought that he was single. She used to knock on the door, ask for him. And then so happened this time, I actually finally answered the door for the first time and saw her. She asked for him and I was like, "Who are you?" She was like, is he there? Like, basically, like, she didn't want to talk to me. She wanted to speak to him. And I was like, "Well, I'm his fiance. Anything you have to say to him, you can say to me." And she was like, "Oh, I didn't know that you were his fiance. I thought you was his daughter." I was like, "No, I'm not his daughter." But I was like, "I look that young, but thank you. It was a compliment, you know?" She ended up doing something. I'm not sure what it was, but she ended up doing something. And I got upset. And I didn't no longer want her coming at my house asking my husband for anything, because it was so weird how she would come to my door. She would ask me if my husband could move furniture for her or put up curtains for her in her house when she have a whole dude sitting at her house. A whole dude. So when we end up getting into it, she ended up calling the police and telling the police that I pulled out a gun on her and I threatened her and said that I was going to kill her. And this is a Jewish woman that I'm talking about. The police officer, once they got there, they told me that when a lot of people say things like that, they don't rush to their rescue, because 9 times out of 10, a lot of the people are lying, which she was. So she went in and told the landlord and everything like that. And the landlord was like, "Okay, I had to move." And I'm like, "I had to move for what?" And I was like, when she was the one that kept coming to my house with all the craziness and, trying to get at my husband. And I'm like, fuck it. I don't have anything to explain to anybody. I was going to end up leaving. And then he ended up changing his mind or whatever and saying that we could stay. And then he ended up moving us in another building, which is the building in the back. So once that ended up happening, he said, "One more time you had any confusion or problems with anybody, that you had to go." And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not the one that's causing the problems. But I could understand that because he was Jewish too. And he's somewhat racist as well. And the reason why I say this before you start coming for me, the buildings that I live in, they have assigned parking. And he was the type of landlord that had all the Jewish people parked in the front of the building. Literally, all the Jewish people was parked in the front. The Spanish people was parked after that. And the black people was parked further to a different building. So I called him out on his crap and I told him that he was a racist. And all of a sudden, parking started to change. He started mixing up the parkings. Parking started being in the front of the building for black people and everything like that. So then that was squashed. He moved us in another building. So we're in the building, next building. I work so much. My husband works so much. We're barely home. So our apartment is basically just sitting here. So today, which is today's the 6th or 7th. I went out with the boys to go school shopping. And Spanish people that stays 2 doors down from me, he was washing the clothes and trying to get everything ready for the next day so we can go to work. And then all of a sudden, he sees them on the camera go inside the laundry room and take our things out of the washer. He took our things down. They took our things out and just put them wherever they felt like was necessary for them to put it, and just threw our stuff over the laundry room. Then my husband is on the phone with me. He was like, "Oh yeah, they took our stuff out of the laundry room and they just throw the shit around. But what if we do the same thing to them? Then it's going to be a problem." I so happened to come here. I was like, okay, since they did the same thing to us, I'm going to do the same thing to them. So I took their clothes out and I threw them shits right on the floor. Don't touch my stuff. So he went to try to go speak to the lady before I end up coming, and they were hiding in the house, which they got a door camera, so they knew who was at the door. They didn't want to say anything. They didn't want to answer the door. They didn't want to come out. So when I got here, so happened the guy were going into the laundromat when I was coming upstairs. So I asked him, and I'm going to also insert the clip it.
You took my stuff out of the wash machine. When we came, my clothes was on the floor. You guys are on the camera. You are on the camera in the laundry room. So how did my stuff get on the floor? How did my stuff get on the floor? How did my things get on the floor?
I said, did you take my stuff out of the laundry room, and why did you just throw my stuff all over the laundry room like that? Here he goes and, me no speaking English. Me no speaking English, started going off and this and that and that and that. So I started going off too. So then he goes and get the other lady that was down the hall, one of his family member, whoever she is. And they came down there. So then it was a big whole argument that was going on about the clothes being thrown out and this and that and that. And then she goes to say, oh, you're always starting problems in the building. You always this and that. I say, look, lady, I don't talk to nobody in these buildings. I don't talk, and I can care less about anybody in these buildings. I said, I don't fuck with nobody, so don't fuck with me. I stay in my lane. That's what I do. And I'm comfortable in that lane. We go on. And then this lady out of nowhere starts screaming as if somebody is hurting her. And mind you, I'm in my buildings and I'm loud and I'm screaming and all of this stuff. Like, I'm like talking loud just so other people can hear me. This lady just bust out of nowhere and said, oh my God, you said you're going to kill me? You pulled a gun out of me? I said, lady, I'm talking loud in apartments. The people coming downstairs looking at what's going on, they hear what's going on. So how, in between which sentence did you hear me even threaten you or anything? I told her, don't touch my shit. Stop touching my clothes. So how did we get from not touching my clothes to, oh, I'm going to kill you and I'm this and that and that? Oh, I'm going to call the police, this and that. I'm like, okay, you going to call the police? No, whatever. So I made sure I called the police, and I'm as well with them. So the police came here, and as they came, they called me. I stepped outside. He said that he came into the building. So they was like literally standing right in front of my door. And I'm like, oh no, they hear from me, I called them. And she was like, oh no, they hear from me, I called them. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, when I had an incident before with the same people where they had just got here from, I guess, somewhere else, they're immigrants or whatever the case might be. They just got here, and the daughter said, don't call the police on the guy because they didn't have their papers. So I knew that she wasn't going to call the police. But long story short, so the police got here. You told us you never took the clothes out of the washer. But then she told the police that she took the clothes out of the washing machine. So we're trying to figure out, like, which one is it?
And threw it on the floor. They said they grabbed it, they put it on somewhere while they use it. I don't know if that's what happened. I didn't see it.
No,
that's why
it wasn't.
But they said they never take it out.
Thank you. They said they never took the clothes out, but they told you that they did.
No, she should have told us. We took the clothes out because we needed a using machine.
But
she told you that.
We using one machine.
She told us she didn't touch
one
it.
machine. Both dryers were running.
She
so
lied.
there's no way I can take the clothes out of the washing machine. Put that in the dryer. Because I had both dryers run.
Okay.
We got one machine that's empty.
So me and my husband was like, oh wow, like they told us they did it, but then in reality they told the police that they did. And I was like, it's crazy that you want to all of a sudden tell the truth. So I'm talking to the police and I'm telling him what's going on. I was like, you know what? I was ready to leave anyway because I'm sick of racism. I said, I didn't know that in a community with Spanish people and Jewish people that I would meet so many racist Jewish people and Spanish people. That is kind of ridiculous. And in the fact that they put the Spanish people in the same category as black people as if they're black. No, honey, they're not black. I don't care how you want to call it. Black people don't do things like that. And for me to experience racism from a Jewish person and a Spanish person is just ridiculous. It's heartbreaking, and you would never, in your right, like in a million years, you would never think that a person like that will do things like that to you. Because I used to see people used to do so much bad things to Jewish people, and I used to feel so bad for them. And I used to be like, why? Like, why? And then now I know. The reason why I say this is because I used to talk to a Jewish lady downstairs. She's Spanish, but then her husband is Jewish. So I guess she switched over because of her husband. And the fact that she told me specifically out of her mouth that Jewish people are racist. And if you are not them or you're not Jewish, you get treated differently. They don't talk to you. They don't affiliate themselves with you or anything like that, because I just always thought that it was just, just this one Jewish community. But come to find out, there's many different Jewish communities There's the, how they say it, the ghetto Jews, the gypsy Jews, the orthodox, whatever you want to call it, Jews, and they're racist even to each other. And I just put them on this pedestal, like, you know, hey, they're more of God, they're this and that, they're humble, but they're not. So each and every day I'm experiencing more bad things from people that I didn't expect to be that way. And I treated them more highly than I should. I guess that's how you say it. But this has got to stop. And me as a black woman, you get kind of nervous every day when you have these types of people do things like this to you, and then knowing that you have a black daughter and you have sons, and you get nervous for them knowing that you're going through the same situation. So I've been going through problems in this neighborhood for the longest, and the reason why I moved in this neighborhood because I tried to move my kids into something better and change the scenery of which we grew up in. But that doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference where you go. It's always going to be a problem. If you're in a white neighborhood, you're in a Jewish neighborhood, you're in a black neighborhood, there's always going to be problems. But at least one thing I can say is that if I'm in a black neighborhood, I'm not going to experience racism as if I would if I was in a Jewish or a white neighborhood. Now you have these people in my building. She's talking to this person. She's talking to this person, making it seem as if I'm the bad person. But then you can't go off of everything that you hear because you're not knowing what the situation is. You don't know what the real circumstances is and what is the, what is the intentions of the person that you're talking to. You got to actually know them to know what is going on. You got to know both sides. So eventually, yes, I am looking to move next year. I've been praying on it, that God help me with this journey. So when I say certain things, I feel bad that I have to say them, but each and every day I'm starting not to like different races but my own, because the bad experiences that I am dealing with as a black woman. And I feel like no one should go through things like this ever. And it is sad. Wake up, America. When are you going to change? If you see racism, why not stop it when you see it, instead of indulging in it and creating more problems than it have to be? But that's all I'm going to say about this video. I'm just going to leave it alone because in my mind, I honestly was going to be quick, fast to call immigration, but because I know that I would feel bad for doing it if they get deported. So I'm just going to let things do what it do and just let them say and do whatever they want to do and just let it go. Are you experiencing racism yourself? What neighborhood do you stay in? And if you are experiencing racism, how did it go? How did you handle it? Like, how were you able to take control of the situation? Like, what did you do? I want to know. I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you have to say. So leave it in the comment section below. Let's have this conversation. I really need to know from anybody. I don't care if you're black, you're white, you're Spanish, or whoever. If you are going through the same situation, I really want to hear from you. So I'm going to leave this video off here. I mean, even though I slowed down on the makeup and things like that, I just feel like I wanted to come and post how I felt. And I feel like you guys understand more of my situation than anybody else. But I love you guys and see you guys in my next video. Holla.